issue goes across all demographics. Family law in the West needs major reform. Well, here's the thing, Eric, is that so long as women, as disqualified dads Farouk mentioned in his podcast with Pearl, I'm about to bring him on, so long as women continue to be incentivized, financially incentivized, to break up the family home, the longer this problem is going to persist, perpetuate, and continue. And in fact, this makes a good segue to bring our brother Farouk on from Disqualified. That's Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullah. How you doing, Akhi Farouk?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm good, brother. Thank you very much. I'm very good.
Alhamdulillah. Pleasure to have you here, brother. That point that you mentioned on Pearl's podcast, that was a very profound point. She mentioned, do you think there's something along the lines of, are women marriageable today? And you said it's not that the women are bad, it's that they are incentivized to be bad. I thought that was excellently put, brother.
Well, I'll further elaborate on that point, yeah, which I didn't get to do on Pearl's show. There was 100 things going through my mind at the time, yeah. Now, in any partnership or relationship, business partnership, you got to understand this, right, yeah? And I try and relate it to a bit of the red pill stuff, yeah? If you are, one is a silent partner, for example, and the other is the lead and head of the business, yeah? But the government has given the silent partner a loaded weapon. Who is really in charge and who's really leading, regardless of how good they are or perceived. And if there's a trail of honey somewhere, ultimately human beings will gravitate eventually to that, regardless of race, culture, religion, background. The societal behavior and the narrative will follow a line with the law. So the bottom line is one partner has a loaded weapon all the time. Effectively, they have the final say, regardless. That's the point. Who's really in charge?
Bro, you're absolutely right. If you've got a loaded weapon and you're feeling a bit emotional, you might think, oh, I've got the weapon here. Maybe I'll just fire a couple,
Exactly.
crack the
Or
whip.
you just wave it around. All you need to do, and the thing is this, with like obviously you, Ahmed, and Ali covered a lot of points. So now understand this in the context of a marriage and a relationship, yeah? There are ups and downs. There's going to be arguments. There will be moments, yeah? But if a weapon is waved around, so, I'm like not directly, is waved around while there's a child in the hand, a weapon is waved around. What is that masculine man still going to do? You're going to back off, nod along, because your first thought will be to that child. Your first priority is to that kid.
Yeah.
Maybe I should remain quiet. So how many years can you live like this? How many years can you carry on like this? And effectively, what happens is, and what a lot of brothers in the community, what I found is, they live in this emotional prison. So when you're a prisoner in your own life, it starts playing with your own head. And in the community, you can't tell anyone this. You can't go to someone saying, I'm indirectly being controlled. Now imagine a guy that you know down the gym comes to you, he's a tough sort of guy, but again, as much as he's a leader, yeah, you gotta understand this. This person has your child and the government has given her the weapon. You've conceded once, you've conceded twice. You've effectively conceded all the time. You're done. You have to toe the line because they're holding that child. Ultimately, the day you and the other problem in the community is this year with these sisters. Unfortunately, especially with this sort of behavior, this sort of coercive behavior, it's a slightly different
Sorry,
angle. Yeah.
Farouk, do you have Bluetooth headphones in or something?
Yes. Yes. Is
You
it
might,
no
yeah,
good?
it sounds a
I'll
bit
take them off.
funny.
I'll take them off.
Yeah.
I'll take them off. Hold on. Yeah, no problem.
Right, how's that? Is that any better?
Much better. Yep.
Right, yeah, sorry, where was I? Just remind me, I forget things very quick online. Where was I?
Loaded
Yeah.
weapon.
So these sisters now, unfortunately, so with this sort of coercive behavior, when the family of the perpetrator and the South Asian community, like you said, people only pull for their own, yeah? They don't pull for the overall greater cause. They're not specifically looking at both parties. They only pull for their party. So when a sister has a brother and a father and a family who get behind this behavior and you're batting for that team, they know they've got the upper hand. You toe the line, you bat for their team. And that's when you see in the community, a lot of brothers, you hear stories where after he got married, he went very quiet. He moved closer to the in-laws. He had no choice, but they just assume that he's under the thumb. And that term, again, pushes that guy further into isolation. So this isolation control tactics. So these sort of marriages, these sort of control tactics, prevalent in the, I hate to say it, South Asian community. And the South Asian community women have taken like duck to water with these tactics. They know it innately. And South Asian guys, generally very placid culture. As you mentioned before, they're placid people, easygoing guys. It's very easy now to exert this type of control because the backstop is the position that unfortunately a lot of us are in now. That's the reality.
I mean, you know, it comes down to character type as well. I'll be honest with you, bro. I'm the type of guy, yeah, I will burn the house down with me inside it. I don't care, bruv. If it means to preserve my sense of autonomy, self-respect, I will burn that damned house down with me inside it. We're all dying. I don't care. That's how I'm like. What do I mean by that here in this instance? Which is, if it means I have to, yani, become some emasculated version of myself just for the sake, hoping to forget that. Keep the kids. I love new ones. I hate to put it like that because I cannot, yani, I cannot. I don't care. And he who's willing to commit suicide has the initiative. Now, that's not to say we should give up on our children and so on. However, as you correctly mentioned, if it's going to be like this, hey, behave, bend over, go on, or I'll pull the trigger. Do you know what I mean? Nah, could never be me, mate.
That's why I'm here, bro. That's why I'm here now.
And in fact, I don't know how much you're allowed to go into because your case is still ongoing, right?
Yeah, it's an ongoing. I can go into it in certain ways and angles. I've worked around this, so I'll talk a little bit about my case directly. Yeah, just to put it out there. Yeah, March the 16th, 2022, I ended my marriage ultimately for various of reasons, as explained in short before. Yeah. Now, again, what happens is the classic blueprint. So the day you end it, following that same day, like I said, I remember it, very clearly like yesterday. You're arrested that evening. Historic allegations of abuse spanning over a decade, yeah? So you got the classic, the financial, emotional, coercive control, you name it, it's on there, yeah? You're released the following day, and before you know it, a few days later, you're already all over the place. You don't know what's going on. You ain't seen your kids. You don't know where you're at. You don't know what's happening. It's a very new territory. Next thing, you're slapped with this sort of non-molestation order. Just as you get used to that, you let it sink in and what it means and the implications of it, you're slapped with an occupation order. And all of this time, you haven't seen your kids. You don't know when you're going to see them. You don't know if you're ever going to see them. You're in a very horrible emotional state. You've been made homeless. You can't go to your home. Followed by that, I unfortunately witnessed my house on CCTV, witnessed my house getting robbed by strangers that I've never met. Unfortunately, with this abuse allegation, what people don't realize is
You
even the
couldn't even be
community
there
will
to
turn on
defend
you.
your family. You couldn't be, am I correct? You couldn't be there to defend your family because you'd be arrested otherwise.
No, yeah, I can't go to my house. So what happened was, unfortunately, people came. When I say rob my house, the police assisted this under the family court machine, effectively. Yeah.
Right.
So when stuff was taken out my property, I watched on CCTV my home being violated by strangers from the community. Yeah, from the Muslim community. I hate to say it. The problem is this now, with the abuse allegations, and we have to go back to just primal human behavior. If a sister walks in somewhere, crying her eyes out, starts talking about how she's been abused, this and that, the thing is with most men, innately, on some level, they will fall for it.
Yes.
And yeah, it's as you know, obviously you've studied, you're the best man to understand this, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
That primal behavior, you will automatically feel sorry, poor sister. And if she's a hijabi niqab, it's even worse. You will feel it even more. You think, poor oppressed sister, yeah. What happens is most men, and in the community, the problem is this, right? Yeah. And obviously Ahmed and Ali touched on it, but I'll elaborate on a bit more. We say these things, we're addressing the sisters. All of these sisters have brothers and fathers from our community, bro. We're all from this same community. There's brothers and fathers supporting this behavior. And the problem with all of the sort of, how can I put it? All of the community is, yes, these sisters are wrong. They're wrong. People that do this is wrong until it's your own. No, but she's legit. Because it's my own. No, but she's legit. When your own is doing it, you make excuses. And this is what I'm saying. Like, people talk about being practicing, putting the mask on, this and that. What about how you conduct yourself in your personal affairs? You can show the world you're practicing. You can go Hajj and Umrah. But when no one is looking in your personal affairs, how do you conduct yourself? Are you just in your personal affairs? Or do you only apply Islam to others? When it comes to your own child, do you turn a blind eye? And in the Asian community, when it's your own, it's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. It's someone else's kid that's bad. And it's that culture that is also feeding into this. So when we blame these external organizations, which they are part of the problem, I also blame the community. They have brothers and fathers, and like I said, in the family court, like those brothers mentioned, there is no atheist. Everyone's an atheist. They leave their religion at the door. Hijabis, niqabis, fathers,
Flipping.
brothers with beards standing there with sisters, knowing that their nephews effectively haven't seen their dads in months and years. Knowing all the knowledge we have around this, they're still happy to engage in this. So as much as we blame all the system, brother, we have to look at our own to a certain degree and call this out, even amongst our own. There are men backing these women.
Interesting.
So
That's a different angle, bro. That's a different angle. And if you don't mind me asking, because obviously you've been going through this for the past year, right?
yeah, it's been
How
14.
have
But sorry, go
14
on.
months?
Yeah, so
14
last time I saw or spoke to my kids, my situation was in the sense that it was overnight. Yeah, so overnight, March the 16th, 2022, overnight, no contact, nothing, no see, no speak, no phone, nothing. Yeah, so I've had no contact overnight. Now, this is what I've understood. Yeah, those brothers that have broken contact, it's worse. Because the problem is, once you get on that emotional roller coaster, as you know well, you go up and down every day. You have your moments and phases where you survive. Now, what happens to a lot of brothers that have broken contact is you're being tortured. That's even worse. So what happens is 6, 8 weeks. Then you get maybe a little phone call or an hour. Guess what? That's reset you back to start again. You're at the start of the game again. You're on that roller coaster all over again. You go through months of this. You just about get yourself together where you can function a little bit. You've got past all the self-deletion stages and all of this. You've got yourself together. You're eating. You're going out your house and whatnot, yeah? What happens after is you have a little bit of contact again. You're back to square one. It destroys them slowly. So they might look, I hate to say, I know it's important to see the kids and have the kids. If I was offered a phone call or 1 hour contact now, like you said, I'd walk away, not interested. I won't even do it, yeah, because it will take my strength away. I cannot go there. I need to remain in this place and position of strength ultimately. And my situation was, to a certain degree, I'll talk about my situation, yeah. So when all of this happened, yeah, I was effectively made homeless. Now, with the delays in the family court system, what people don't realize since COVID, yeah, where that time was 6 months between hearings or 3 months, I've not even had one hearing in over 14 months, nothing. My molestation order has run out before I can go and defend myself. I've been effectively living out of a van. I've lived out of a van. I have driven around for days, drinking coffee, just surviving. People have no idea, brother. And you know, as Muslims, we don't talk about self-deletion, yeah? So
So
you can
are you
snap
homeless right now as we speak?
effectively. I've got a place to stay. Like I stay at my mum's place sometimes, but the thing is this: you can turn up at your mum's brothers or sisters for a week, 2 weeks. You can't indefinitely turn up forever, like until the courts decide to respond. So I've got a little setup in the van. I live mobile. I sofa surf here and there. I can get by and survive because of the way I've lived before. I can get by. I can manage. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. But I have effectively, and you understand, I have no personal, all my personal belongings are at my house where I have no access. I've not been there for 14 months. My personal belongings, my shirts, my clothing, my toothbrush, everything. I live mobile now. Or I have 3 workshops with tools. I cannot work. I do all my, everything's there. Then people don't understand the logistics. They say, why don't you go? You can get the police, go there, get it and take it where? I can get all my stuff, and where do I take it? With the CMS and the way the system works, you are completely dismantled. So where do I go with all my stuff? People have no idea the day-to-day logistics. Even if I got all my personal belongings, I can't load them up all in my van and drive around with all of that. It's there's nowhere to put it. You can't rock up at a family member's house indefinitely for a year or 2 years. Do you see what I'm saying? And if you're a man with a property in your name, you don't get nothing. You can't be, you're not entitled to anything. So you're effectively how can I put it? By default, you are disqualified from the system completely. And you're just left to wonder. And the thing is this, right? Obviously, being Muslim, we don't talk about self-deletion, stuff like that. You can snap that here. But guess what? You start thinking, well, what's the point in carrying on? This is where brothers, we start praying for death. There's been days, brother, where, I thought, if I don't wake up, I'm not going to do something silly, but my time is here and I go, man. I've got no reason to be. You start thinking like that. Unfortunately, those stages that, that roller coaster, and when you've been shut down from every part of society, because like when you're a father going through it, you are alone effectively. No one can understand. And I was one of these people. I knew people going through this. I never understood the horror of not having contact with your child. People have no idea of that basic primal instinct of how can that be denied. And when you talked about the family court system, I'll take it even further, yeah? The family court system, when you look at it innately, the system as it is, yeah, how it's designed, you have to give credit to the people, the architects of this system, yeah? Because the most basic primal human instinct of any living creature, yeah, basic primal behavior to be with your offspring, that's a very basic thing. How do you take a basic emotion like that, yeah, a basic primal instinct, and monetize it? So when a
Ooh.
father is on edge, you've got to understand the psychological stages. Now, I've discussed it with Sister Sally, as a brother Ahmed said, from Split the Difference, which I've got here. I've got their t-shirt, yeah. They keep you on edge. The whole system, the molestation or the CM, they keep you on edge to the point where you're happy to split with money for someone to take that, get you off that roller coaster, give you a little bit of ease. As long as you're on there, you're happy to take a loan out. You're happy to do something just to keep paying in. Now, the most basic primal instinct created by God, by whatever your belief system is, yeah, your flesh and blood, yeah, like I said, a mile up the road, how is it I cannot see my child 1 mile, less than 1 mile up the road? How is that possible? Until you experience that and you see the hurdles and barriers, then you wonder, what society do we live in? How is this even possible, yeah? But the system itself has monetized a basic human primal behavior. It has been studied, because then you think it's just £1,000, it's just another 100, it's only another £2,000 contacts, and it's only £100 an hour. I'll pay it. It keeps pushing you, because
Yeah, yeah.
that innate primal instinct that is built in. Someone studied it, brother. They've studied the whole red pill, blue pill, and the green pill, as I say. They've studied all of it, bro, and they have monetized it. It is the best scam I can ever look at and think, if there's a good, this is the best scam around. To take,
You know what? You've hit upon something very, very profound, which is that they give you this like a rat. They give you these little crumbs
yes,
as rewards. So you got work, run, and then you get this this little scrap, and you feel like you're making
yes,
progress. Once you eat that scrap, that's it.
it's
You're
gone.
hooked.
They reel it in. That's
You're hooked.
it.
They reel it in, baby.
Yeah,
Reel it in. Rinse him for all he's worth. You're absolutely right.
and that
So,
is. Sorry, go on, go on.
like, how have you been managing your emotions over the past 14 months for other
Like I
fathers
said,
to
I think
maybe?
I think the key stages is right. Those first 6 to 8 months, those initial 3 or 4 months, you are in constant pain
Yeah,
24/7.
man.
Yeah,
I know.
no one can understand you. Generally, the South Asian community are very the lack of emotional intellect, for want of a better word, I'll say, yeah. You're on your own, right? And those who are not going through it, they can't understand it. I've had even people say to me, look, you're never going to see your kids again, just forget about them. And you're going through that and you're thinking, what? Really? They're my kids though. Like, why am I? You
Yeah.
go through all of this stuff, yeah. You have to obviously try and block it out, yeah. But those 3 to 6 months, I think, are crucial. If you can survive the 6 months, you can then survive the long run, yeah. But once you get past those stages and you submit to the higher power, bro, once you accept that you were never in control, they were
Mhm.
never your children ultimately. If this was written for you for how many years you had with them, if that's what was written for you, then Allahu Alim, that was, you're thankful for that. But first and foremost, submit to the higher power and say, there's a force external to yourself that is greater, Allahu Alim, and He controls all of this. Number one, yeah. Number two, if you truly believe in your Iman and Yaqeen and believe in Allah, and know in your heart that you will do your bit, you will do your best. If you do your best, you put your work in, you do your bit, you put every ounce of energy you have into this, and you leave the rest to the higher power, He can do the unseen and the unknown without any help. So ultimately, you have to concede to the higher power, to believe in that, to help you get through. You don't
It's very
believe in
profound.
anything.
It's very profound that you mentioned that submission to Allah, because especially for someone like myself, for example, I'm not control freak, but I like to have an idea of where we're going. I like to plan things out. Like, this is where we're going. This is how things are going to play out. There might be some deviation along the way, but I like to understand the picture. But in this instance here, you are literally you are powerless in a
Yes.
way that is difficult to describe unless you've actually been through it. One day you are dad in the home, children listen to you and so on. The next day, nothing. And it's like, you go through, it's like, have you heard of the 5 stages of grief?
Yeah, no, go on. No, no.
5 stages of grief is like the different stages that a human being goes through once when they are afflicted with something. And the final stage of grief, I can't remember the first 4 stages, but the final stage of grief is acceptance. But
Yes.
that journey to get there is a bloody painful one. And what you
Yes.
just mentioned there, that submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will fast track that process, that actually you do the action, but you were never in control of the result in the first place. All you were in control of was your action. You take action and then you rest in the knowledge that I'm trying, I have tried, and I am trying, and I'm doing my best, but the outcome is not with me. And that brings you a great level of satisfaction and contentment to your heart, because otherwise you're just constantly stressed. You're constantly double guessing yourself. I could have done this. I should have done that. It's all my fault. And you start tripping your mind on all of these different like angles that you could have, should have taken. And do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're 100% bang on. But this is the thing. When you said, like what you said about being helpless, when you are truly helpless and powerless, right, within certain realms to actually do anything, because you've been dismantled in every way, your hands and legs have been taken, you've been blindfolded and then told, now go and find your kids, yeah? You know how alone you are and the monster you're up against. And that's when you realize you alone cannot do it. You alone cannot achieve this. You have to go back to your core root. You have to go back to your innate core nature of what human being you are, how you were brought up, what characteristics you have. And we have, alhamdulillah, we're born Muslim, we have that backstop no matter what. So when you give in to that, submit to that, and then at some point in stages, the acceptance of the situation before you can see the clarity, because the rage, like you said, you'll set the house on fire ultimately if it comes to it, yeah? Now you got to understand, you're constantly battling those demons, yeah? You got to manage them daily. That rage, if you allow it to go, it will set not just your house, it'll set the whole block on fire, yeah?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the point. Now, with that raw emotional rage, because of primal instinct, you will die for your offspring, yeah? What else are you prepared to do for the injustice done to your offspring? That's the key. People have no understanding. And a man that has nothing to lose is the most dangerous in society, always has
Oh
been
yeah.
throughout history.
Oh yes.
Hence, we go to this now. That rage and emotion, if you allow it to fester and conquer you, it will rage everywhere. It will destroy everything.
Mm.
Harness it in the right way to get that clear. So once you get past the acceptance, use the rage, past the acceptance to focus and battle ahead. That's the point. Use it for the productivity and the positive outcome in a positive way. If you allow it, even if I let it go today, yeah, this will be a very different story. But you manage those demons daily. They still come out here and there. I have to suppress them. Again, to suppress your own ego, because this ain't about me. This is about the kids, yeah? So I have to suppress my own ego ultimately. Or like I said, if it's not about me, then there's many other options. It's about the kids. Hence, you manage that roller coaster. But if you can survive those 6, 8 months and get out, go for coffees, go and exercise, go hang around with positive people. And I'll even say this, do not go and see other fathers who are going through this, because they will just drag you down. One's
Agreed.
down, he'll drag the other one down. They'll just keep dragging each other down. And then these other demons and other vices there to start and do other stuff. You have to survive the 6 to 8 months. And I'll tell you this, if someone going through it as well, yeah, there's a lot of people in the community that come and tell you, oh yeah, this happened to my mate, he's never seen his kids again. Forget your kids. Don't hang about them. Don't listen to them. If you're dealing with someone like this, you need to give them hope. He needs hope to get through those 1 or 2 hours. Because when people say get through 6, 8 months, when you're going through this initially, 6, 8 months is a long time, brother. You can't see
Yeah,
past the
yeah,
next hour, yeah?
yeah,
You
yeah.
need to get that person for the next 2, 3, 4 hours. He needs to just make that day, yeah? If you need to tell him, don't worry, it's going to be okay. You might see them. You need to just go get yourself together and you'll see. Give him hope in as many ways as you can. Let him believe that he will. Because once he gets past this stage, once he gets to the acceptance stage, then you can be a little bit more blunt, because he's already accepted the reality
I like that.
of the system we're in. If you tell him from day dot, oh yeah, this just happened, he's already on the edge, and you say you're never going to see your kids, what's he going to do? What's he thinking? And this is the sort of stuff people come back. So do not say these things to people like that. Give them hope. give them a little bit of hope to hold on to get past those next 24 hours. And, you know, it's a long, hard road. I say 6-8 months. It's a long, hard road, yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people, we don't even hear about those that don't make it. That's the
Yeah.
point. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm here effectively, you know, inshallah. So
I mean, I'm
try and
trying to
help
think.
people.
I'm trying to, may Allah aid your cause, man, because it's a bloody crucial cause. I'm trying to think, because I've been going through this for so long now, the details are blurred. But I think it took me around 2 years, bro, to get to that acceptance stage. It took me a hot minute. It
Wow,
was a
really?
long,
Bloody
long
hell.
time. Because I was, how long were you married for? How old are your children?
My children are now, when I last saw them, they were 8, 6, and 3. They're now 9, 7, and 4.
SubhanAllah. It's old, man. Yeah, I mean, that's old. I mean, my kids, before I started going through this, they were 11, 9, and I can't remember the rest, but basically 11 years. It took me around 2 years to get to that peace
Yeah,
stage.
that's a long time.
How are your children coping? Do you even know?
I have no idea. I have no idea. And this is what I've mentioned before on that Blackbeard podcast. Yeah, you know, as an adult, what you went through, 2 years of turmoil and pain because of that separation of that bond. Yeah, as an adult, yeah, you know the excruciating pain. Now these children, they are supervised by someone else where they can't express this. They don't understand what they're feeling. Yeah. So then you got to think that turmoil inside is internalizing that damage. Yeah. What is that doing to them? What is you cannot deny, like I said, that bond put there by Allah. Yeah. Grown men are effectively self-delete. They're contemplating their whole life and thinking it's not worth carrying on. Yeah. These children that cannot express these emotions, yeah, they don't understand them. They just feel that loss. No wonder the stats say what they say about children brought up in these homes, affect single parent homes. The damage, I think, it lasts a lifetime. And there's a chap that I know, yeah, he's in his 20s, right, yeah, and it turns out, I found out recently, his father's not been in his life from a young age, yeah, and he has his own issues and whatnot. But the mere mention of his father, yeah, I try and broach the subject, yeah, he shuts down. The barriers come up, he shuts down. The psychology behind an alienated child, right, is very interesting because the kids put good and bad. They label people as good and bad. So they have this parent that they loved and they love and they don't see, but that is now effectively in their mind promoted as the bad parent. So what they then think is, I am with the good parent. Then that subconscious loss at young age that someone you knew like this is gone, yeah? Then you get the anxiety. What if this other parent leaves me? Now, with parental alienation, and unfortunately with women and the bond they have with their children, they have a slightly different bond, yeah? So what the coercion, the way they coerce the little kids is especially, I know your dad's not here. Let's say they're not even bad-mouthing the other parent, yeah? But you do it with love, yeah? So I know your other parent left, yeah, but Mummy will never leave you. Mummy loves you. Here, have another dessert.
Creating a
You don't
dependence.
need to. Now you are, what's the word I'm looking for? You're creating that emotional dependency. That is more that. Now imagine a child or even a boy. Let's take it. Girls, put it aside from it. But let's say a young boy, yeah. When you create emotional dependency in a young man like that, yeah, you see the problems we have now, and hence this whole red pill and all this other stuff that's come out from it. But that emotional dependency is damaging that child through love. So in their mind, I don't want to risk losing the one parent I have.
Yes.
I am now dependent. They need that reaffirmation from this parent regularly into their adulthood. There was one story I heard, yeah, I'll tell you quickly, yeah. There was this geezer. He lost contact with his father from a young age. He didn't want to know him. As he got older, he became a man. He didn't want to know him. Now this man then got married, had children of his own. At the age of 30, he lost contact with his own children through the family court system. Yeah. At the age of 36, after 6 years of fighting, he went and found his dad and connected with him and said, "Dad, I now know what you went through." And he then connected at 36. I don't know where I read this, but
36 though, man. I was flipping.
It's gone. Look, the childhood is gone. That's the reality. Is people don't realize. And look, I understand. we have to remember these children are victims, right? I spoke to one father the other day outside the mosque. Yeah, he's lost. I think he had 5 kids, all gone. Right? Yeah, his boys are now grown men. So I said to him, look, do you want me to try and talk to them, see if I can connect with them somewhere? Yeah. He goes, one of my boys actually comes to this mosque because last time I saw him, he wanted to fight me. He's angry. He was going to almost fight him. But this is the anger that is built in, the resentment, the anger deep down, because deep down they're feeling you're not there. So as
Yeah.
much as they feel loyal to one parent, I think with boys as well, it's the anger issues affecting. They're angry at that dad because deep down, they don't understand why they're angry. But deep down is you weren't there for me. There's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a
Resentment.
resentment, exactly. Resentment, then that resentment fuels the anger. So he goes, I've tried, but they're so badly damaged. But and the fact is this, I believe, look, even if they come back one day when they're adults, that a childhood is a very short time. Do you know what I mean? And once those years are gone, that relationship as bonded is formed over those years. When it is gone effectively, you have robbed that child forever. You can rob the dad. No one cares about the dad. You're right. No one cares. We're grown men. No one cares. I get it. Do not rob that child, though. I mean, come on, man. To destroy that child in this way, that you can never bring that back.
You're robbing the child. You're not rob that child. Absolutely.
So,
I mean, this is one thing myself personally. Look, with my personal situation, I can let everything else go. One thing I'll never forgive, is the time that has been lost with those children. There's a famous quote by Napoleon: "Space we can recover, time never." Once that time is gone, it's gone. You know, most people will not understand the experience of you have children, and then the next time you see your children, they've shot up 3 inches. It's such a weird experience.
Yeah.
And you know, when Allah reunites you with your kids, and inshallah this will be sooner rather than later, you're gonna experience this yourself. You're gonna be like, whoa, it's scary, bro. It's like boom, like that. In my case, actually, one of my sons, he went through a whole puberty, and it was boy, man,
yeah.
5'3", 6 foot. It was crazy. You know, it's like how it's like you're in a time machine.
The thing
So
is this, yeah. You know, you say that, right? And this is what I'm saying. I can't even imagine. I don't know what that day looks like where I see them. They're in front. I can't even imagine it. I am in a place also now, right? It's almost I scare myself. I have buried it in such a place, yeah. I have to go looking and digging, yeah. Because if that comes out right now, yeah, the children, I have, how can I put it? I have conceded to the element of, to a certain degree, the reality is this now, yeah. Obviously, I know you're saying it took you 2 years, right? I've been 14 months, but I've conceded to this little bit of reality that ultimately, Allahu Alam is in his hands, yeah? Also, I'm continuing on the grounds that I believe my children, I'm not saying I will win, but my children will win and the alienated children will win, inshallah. I'm working to that goal in that, with that goal in mind, yeah? But effectively, brother, I have conceded, not conceded, I have accepted the element that if it comes to it, I never see them again. I'm going from here till the end, but the fact that they're already gone, I may never see them, and it's buried so deep that I can continue without, I am not burning any emotional fuel on a daily basis. I can continue this on autopilot. And like I said, the morale, the one who breaks morale first, I am going till the end. I have no backstop. The end, there is no backstop. There is no greater purpose. When you have stolen someone's children from them, understand this. I am prepared to go to, like I said, many other lengths. This is just a warm-up. This is just, I'm getting started. My true strength is only coming together now. I am prepared to commit the whole army to this. We will die on this battlefield. Period.
I hear
That's
that,
the
bro.
bottom line. And
I
you
hear that.
cannot break that morale, and my energy, my commitment cannot be faltered at any point, because my backstop is from here to whatever it takes. Ultimately, the full 12 rounds, they will carry me out the ring if it comes to it on every level. And this is what you got to understand. If you're prepared to go to court for your children, split with money, the thing is, I speak to a lot of fathers, and look, not everyone is different. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, and you know, obviously not everyone can do the same. Everyone has to bring something different to the table. But I speak to a lot of fathers, I speak to a lot of practicing brothers. Soon as there's talk about action, like Split the Difference, I want to put it out there. July the 5th are organising, Sister Sally and Burrows from Split the Difference. They have now organised a march where they're going to walk into Parliament on July the 5th and challenge the CMS. They've got a whole case study together where they'll be challenging government on the CMS and their practices, child maintenance services, and the self-deletions that they are causing. Now, problem with the whole fathers movement is everyone talks and talks and talks until it's like, well, leave it for someone else to do. People need to show up. People need to get behind it. Not for me, not for you, not for any father, but for the ummah, from the Muslim community. They need to stand up for the ummah, because the ummah is being stolen. Those generations, those children, yeah, like I said, no father in their life. They are susceptible to many other ideas, yeah. That is how the ummah will. The women fall, then society falls. Our women are fallen. They have sold out in the family courts. I've seen it with my own eyes, yeah. And this is it. People need to turn up for the children. And the reality is this, I say to sisters, yeah, is you have sons and nephews. I have nephews at 11, 12, 13, 14 now. I see people now with sons who are 14, 15, 16. I am genuinely worried about these boys, yeah, because they're born from, say, in the last 15 years, these kids were born, right? I was born in 80s now, yeah. I think I'm a little bit older than you. Now, I know how I grew up. I know the mechanics and the mechanisms I had to survive, like you said, those 8 months, yeah. But I look at my nephew, I look at my friends' sons, you know, they're 15, 16, young kids, another 3, 4, 5 years marrying age, yeah. I honestly think, can they survive this? If they honestly face this, do they have the emotional capacity and the strength and resilience in their upbringing now to survive this? And I say to sisters, it's not about me or you, yeah. But what about your nephew or your son who will face the same system tomorrow? If we don't bring a change to the system now or stand up for this, our sons and nephews, even the sisters that have engaged into, your sons and nephews and brothers will face this tomorrow. That is the reality. The same harsh system. We have to open our eyes to this, the overall bigger picture.
Jazakallah khairan, Akhi Farouk from Disqualified Dads. Where can the people find you, bro? What are your socials if they wanted to reach out?
I am on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. My content is getting a little bit better as I get the hang of all of this, the social media stuff. But I'm trying to build my YouTube platform now. I'm working more on YouTube, but I am on Instagram and TikTok. And content is slowly but surely getting better as time is progressing, inshallah. So follow me on that. I've put a lot of stuff out in there, especially around the coercive control elements while you're in a marriage and what goes on in the community, how to counter some of these things. And I think with a lot of young men, like you said, also getting married is such a battle on its own. When they're there, if you're not used to these in-law relationships, mother-in-law, father-in-law, know how to navigate these things, yeah, you can also get taken advantage of and lost in that, because they can join in on this power game. So I'm trying to put stuff out there to tell people red flags there, when you can say to your father-in-law, excuse me, father-in-law, I respect you as an elder, but that's enough. You need to know these boundaries and barriers as well. If you've never been through it, you never know these things. No one teaches you these things. So I'm going to try and polish up on all that sort of stuff as well on Disqualified Dads, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
Excellent. That's Disqualified Dads, guys. There you go. Jazakallah khairan, Akhi Farouk, and may Allah facilitate your affairs in this fight that you are currently ongoing, that you're going through right now, and all of the fathers for that matter. Sometimes I forget myself in that statement because it's been going on for so long. Like, you do eventually, like, just you have to carry on living ultimately, you know. But this is important work, and I appreciate the time you spent on this, Akhi, and may Allah reunite you with your children sooner rather than later.
Ameen, brother. Ameen. You too, brother. And Ameen, inshallah. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Akhi Farouk. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum.